So I now have a mission, and the mission is to remove one of the springs, get the serial number, and buy a pair of replacement springs and fit them. So having a good piece of 2x4 of the right length, this is a bit short, but it works as a prop. Okay, I've backfiled. I can backfile into pop rivets that go here, and I drilled these two out. And there's this little blind bolt, and that bolts this thing on. This is a stop, and it just bolts on there. But I took it out so that I could grind this pop rivet head down, and when that comes off, this bracket, that will come off. So that's that C bracket. So just looking at the way the spring mechanism fits in there, it looks like it goes behind this arm and carries on going up. Now, how the spring attaches at the top there is anybody's guess at the moment for me. That's something I'll have to look into. Okay, on reinstalling this little metal, this metal has a little tab. There's a little locating tab. It just fits in the hole of this. It just fits in there, that little locating tab. So that's something to bear in mind with alignment. Whatever, so it goes this way up, right? Might just put that little bolt back while I get rid of the other rivets. Okay, so looking, there will be a spring anchor, but this garage has got this kind of door shelf fitted across the back, which is going to make reaching that anchor, the spring anchor at the top, it's going to make it rather difficult. So I think I'm going to have to clear that shelf, probably remove that shelf. In order to get to that spring anchor, I'm going to have the door shut and do it from the inside of the garage, pull the pin out, because you can't get to the sides otherwise. And this door shelf thing is in the way on this particular garage. So the shield here, or the guard, or the casing, however you would like to describe it, does just gently prise off. You could use a screwdriver, just pinched it with my fingers. Out it comes. I'm supposing the spring is supposed to here somewhere. Quite how that works, I'm not quite sure. The end of the spring is here and it's no longer attached. Whether that's how they break, I don't know. But it's no longer attached. Going to get a new one anyway, and hopefully that'll have a clear method of attachment. And start to pull this. Now it is attached at the top with an anchor pin, and like I say, I've got to clear a shelf and remove a shelf so I can get to the anchor pin position. And then we'll be able to see, hopefully identify what spring this is. It should have a serial number on it somewhere, and I can get some replacements. It has taken quite a long time because I had to remove those pop rivets, and know how it all goes back together again because I recorded it. I found a torch, that was nice. There's the pin. That pin holds the top of the spring, and it looks like if I just yank that pin straight out, maybe screwdriver, the spring that's in there should just drop straight to the bottom. And that's what I'm going to try. Okay, so I didn't film what happened. This is the anchor pin that I removed with a screwdriver from the top. It's the top anchor pin. Now this pin and this collar failed, and it unwound. It enabled the spring to basically uncoil to its full extent. Now, as I left this in place, this took the full brunt and went with quite a bang. It's bent that tang over, and it's bent that tang over and moved this back. I think I'm going to need a new one of these now. It made quite a bang. And if it wasn't broken, it is now. Yes, I haven't taken the thing to pieces. The only number I could find, this was at the top, held in place by the anchor pin, which is a plate at the top, as I showed in the video, and the anchor pin held that, pulled the anchor pin out. It released it under tension and broke it, but the only serial number is this number 4, and I understand that I think that is one of the serial numbers. They go 1 to 5, and this one's a 4, so I'm going to get a couple of 4s because I want to do the other side as well. Right, this is as there's a spring on the other side which has also kind of failed, and I'm going to change this spring. I'm doing this before I've changed the spring on the other side. There is the spring inside the spring channel, and here is the spring cover at the bottom. Now then, like the other side, it's pop riveted with large pop rivets here, here, and this is the back of a pop rivet, and a pop rivet front is there, and I will grind that down because I can't get the drill in. These pop rivets I will just drill them out. This one will have to be ground back, like that one will have to be ground back. That one I can just drill, and this one I can just drill. These two at the bottom will drill. That's the back of one, so I'll grind that. That takes quite a little bit of time, and I won't be recording it. Yeah, so and we'll take this off. I've got to wear safety goggles when I take this one off because I think it's already failed because it's pushed right down to the bottom. And it's likely just to uncoil. grinding down the back of this pop rivet. These two have come out nicely because the fronts are exposed. These are grinding down from the back because I can't get the drill in at this angle. I don't have a right-handed head. Could use it. Could use a die grinder here, but a hand file won't take that long. I won't bore you with the details. For you it will be just a flash of time, just a blink. Short update on grinding these back by hand. Here we are, they're about halfway now. This one here and that one there, can do them both at the same time. Put the file in there. But when it gets to about this stage, you can tap it through with a centre punch, and this is starting to loosen off now. So this needs a bit more grinding down here, and then tap it out with a centre punch or a punch or something. So I want to take this awkward out one, this awkward one out one. I'm not going to use a sanding disc. This is where a finger file would be useful. So I've ground it down like it's totally flush with the metal now. That's the back of the pop rivet, and it took the whole of the I didn't have the right grinding tool to do it, but it took the whole one of those right down from quite big to very small. And now it just needs knocking back with a punch, and that'll be the last of the difficult ones. So this one here and this one here are finally out. They're a lot more stubborn than I thought. You know, you need really the right tool for the right job here, and a finger file would have been useful. This rivet didn't want to come out. Hard to get the right angle with the drill. Again, it needed really to be filed off, but I prized it off with a screwdriver. So it just leaves this one, which is going to be quite a simple one hopefully, and then this one just above it, which will be the last one to take out, because I think the spring is uncoiled. You can see the gaps of the spring here. It might just want to unravel a little bit more and hit me in the face. Last of the pop rivets. Just get comfortable, make sure you can see everything here. Sorry about the deep breathing there, get carried away with the deep breathing. Certainly put these in well. Right, might have to take a breather here. If I can get the oh yes, that's definitely coming off. So really, if I'm gentle with this, it should it hasn't been off for many years. There we go. Okay, it's making some noises. I knew it was going to be a bit tight down the bottom because the whole rivet didn't come out. I'm going to have to wiggle this a bit like a tooth. Well, I hope your teeth ain't like this, but you know, the proverbial milk teeth. Right, I'm going to get back to you on that. This impact, I think this shows where the spring broke, similar to the other one. Here is the spring in position, all flaccid and uncoiled, so I'll have to remove it from the top anchor and it should just drop out. Still not quite sure how it sits here. What attaches it down the bottom, if anything, I don't know about that. I'll have to look at it. It's not in the instructions, which are online. I opened and shut the door a couple of times on my tea break, and this is now the state it started to come out of the spring guide channel, which makes me think that here is the roller, the spring. Hey, the phone's having a glitch. Okay, makes me think that here where the roller is, and the phone's still glitching. Brilliant. It's actually caught up in the spring. There should be a plastic guide there, and I think that's disintegrated. And I've got a strange sound to my voice because I've got some serious goggles on, just in case this thing wants to spit out spring at me. So I'm going to take the rest of this guide off. This whatever this is, I called it a guide. It's not a guide. It's some sort of spring channel fascia covering of some description, and anyway, it's got to come off. Access to the spring proper. So the anchor pin for the other side was at that sort of angle, and I didn't really need a step ladder. There was nothing holding it on, so I just sort of pulled it out by hand, just literally lifted it up and took it away because the spring had broken already. And there is just a busted stub of spring. It's not exactly filming it very well. Let's get it down on the floor and get some light on it. And as you can see, hopefully the number 4 is quite clear on it. There's just a little broken stub of spring. Right, so we need a pair of number 4s. This is the spring guide. Obviously all the springs have been taken off it, off this piece, and it fits in the channel, the spring channel, like this. Now my springs have arrived, and this took 27 hours or 28 hours from ordering, so I'm quite pleased, well, very pleased really, with the speed. It's a package that weighs 6 kilos, and it worked out, it was something like £5 before VAT for the travel. So you can't really argue with that. The internet was definitely the best course of action to get new ones. I did need the serial numbers for that. So, as promised, a pair of number 4 springs, and looking at the packaging, it says upside down, do not open at the ends. It says cut the packaging down the side of the box. This is in case they've uncoiled in the box, and if you open it out, it would go like a jack in the box with a vengeance. So I'm going to get my Stanley knife out and cut these in half. So and wear some safety goggles while I'm doing it. But they move. It was moving in the packaging, so I don't think anything's happened. Right, so typically I've left the camera tripod in the garage. Oops. So I'm going to have a weird camera angle here. I'm going to cut the box. This is because it says don't open it on the ends. if it had actually broken the spring, I think what we'd have is, I hope we've got a good picture still. If we haven't, I guess at this point, if it had actually cut through the box, this would be straining the box. I mean, if it had actually unwound inside this box, it would be forcing its way out of the box right now. It would be tearing the box to pieces trying to unravel the spring. That's what I'd like to think. Oops. Okay, revealing the spring inside. Nice and greasy on the carpet. Yeah, that's the business end. There's the anchor pin. A new anchor pin, sorry. Just go up here. So, first inspection is the distance here. This has to slot in the guide assembly, and that spring tip goes in the anchor point. Don't know where to put it now, it's all greasy. I think I'll put the lid on it for the time being. And I'm going to open the other one like that as well. Right, so with the door closed, I'm going to try and put the spring in first. But of course, now the roller is right down here. And the spring has to actually be in there behind it, so it's going to take a bit of jiggery-pokery. Here's the roller assembly, and I'm going to put the spring in first at the anchor point and then open the door and try and do it that way, because it's really tricky. Oops, sorry about the cricket there. Well, reversing the instructions, the anchor pin came out last, so it's going to be first in. So I'm going to put the anchor pin in, and then open it and hopefully pull it down. I don't see how it's going to go past the roller assembly though without removing the roller assembly. Obviously I don't want to do that because it's not in the instructions. Okay, it's definitely the way to do it. This, you can pull it, if you grab it at the bottom down here, or clasp it with two hands here and here, you can pull this quite far and it opens quite easily. It's firm, but it's a bit difficult to get this plastic clip back in the way I had it because you can't really see the rotation, so it's just going to take some fiddling around, a little bit of physical effort, but it's definitely not impossible now, so we're going good. So if you've ever looked at one of my earlier videos about motorcycle forks, you will see the proverbial broomstick is back in action, and I'm using this to hold the spring assembly in position with the garage door closed. And what I've done there is thread the eye of the spring through the anchor point, and I've just roughly put the spring in place, and I'm going to get the step ladder out and make sure that's safely home. So just getting a torch in position. I mean, this is what it looks like to see the spring home. The eye is just sticking through there, and there's a dimple in the pin, and the pin goes across the faceplate there, and the hook just sits under that, and it just, whoops, it just holds it in position. It's, if you make note of it, what it looks like before you take it to pieces, and then refer to that if you have to, but that's holding that in there good. It's not going to go anywhere. And so now I can gently open the garage door, but hopefully I'll be able to film that. Yeah, so had another look inside the packaging, and there is the fitting the new assembly instructions. Actually, that's what I'm doing, and never mind. Right. So this is where it is a little bit tricky, especially probably with this here. I might have to abort the mission here. But oops. So I will have to just be careful here. It has to pull out like that. It should be easier because the spring's in the other side. I don't want it to go flying up there. Okay, that's the first stage. I might have to just take this off. Put it up a bit higher now. Right, hopefully that will slide into place. Close that up a bit, so. Well, that went according to plan. So now I'm going to just put this back into place. Cool. I don't know. Bloomin' heck. It's a bit fiddly, I tell thee. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Alright. And this is the bit that was pop riveted, obviously. Should be paying attention. Oops. Let's put it in the middle. Oh, let's put it on the top. Sugar. Time to take the gloves off here. Well, this garage, it's quite old, it is a bit bent up. I was told that it wasn't worth repairing it, but you know, I'd rather spend 10% on this repair than get a new garage door, which will do the same thing, break later. And now we know what to do. so I could rivet this on later, but it's probably alright. Let's give it a shot. Put this back. Take your chin off that will.